Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Mo, the Gnostic warrior, the founder of the Order of the Gnostics, for my daily walk and talk today. And today I'm going to talk about an article that I had written yesterday on GnosticWarrior.com. The article was titled, "The Demonic Dark Spirits That Fill the Air." And in this article, I explain kind of the history and the ancient belief system behind these dark spirits. And I want to remind some of you, thank you for tuning into this live walk and talk today. I want to remind some of you the word spirit and what it means. Keep in mind that when the ancient... Hey, good morning, Kevin, everybody. Again, having these reconnection issues. It's just kind of the only way I do these videos is these walks and these talks. So again, thank you for tuning in. And keep in mind, guys, and those that are following me in my walks and my talks, when I talk about spirit, keep in mind that I am talking in reference to breath and to breathe, okay? So the article that I had written yesterday, I talk about this ancient belief system of these dark spirits that filled the air. For example, the Gnostics had called them the dark lords and mischievous spirits of the air. The Christians, they had called them the air, the mansions of spiritual wickedness and evil spirits who inhabit the air. Okay, so this belief system of spirits that float and fly in the air has been going on for thousands of years, from of course, the ancient Gnostics up and through Christianity and up until today. And this belief system, I want you to correlate with some other things that I'm going to talk about in this walk and this talk today. One of these is called haunted houses. Okay, so a lot of you that are following my walks and my talks, you understand that I talk about parasitic demonic fungi, right? Molds in English. These parasites that float through the air that we breathe in, that then graft into our DNA, and they cause us to sin. They cause us to do their bidding. They cause us to eat more sugar. They cause us to drink more alcohol, more addictions, and so forth. And this is science, okay? This isn't a belief system or a mythological story about spirits. This is actually the truth. So we know the story and the history about haunted houses, right? Some of you are familiar with haunted houses and the belief in haunted houses, and I'm going to kind of go in a different direction for a second, so bear with me. So the belief in haunted houses is actually a common belief all around the world, and they've been talked about for hundreds, if not thousands of years, actually thousands of years. And these haunted houses, 40% of Americans, I think it's like 30% of Canadians, for example, and then another 40% of Britons, they believe in these haunted houses, okay? So before I get into some of the research on the haunted houses that correlates with the science of the dark spirits that fill the air, right? Because we spend how much time indoors these days in this year 2017? You can Google it. It's something like 90 to 95% of our time, you and I, is spent indoors, right? So we are in these houses, right here, and we're breathing in the air, the spiritus of whatever is in these homes, okay? Keep this in mind as I keep going along with this line of thought. So these haunted houses were basically believed to be homes where spirits had resided, okay? So again, we have the word spirit, spiritus, to breathe. These spirits were thought to be disembodied spirits. They were thought to be possibly the disembodied spirits of people that had dwelled in these homes before. Maybe they died of suicide or a violent death. So these are some of the what are called paranormal explanations for these paranormal experiences, right? So if we look at the word para and normal, you know, as a Gnostic, as I had said before, if we truly want to know and we want to find truth, we got to understand the words that we're speaking. So paranormal, para basically means besides, outside. Okay, it's not the normal. Okay, so when you say paranormal or someone says a paranormal phenomenon, they're saying that this isn't normal. This thing that is happening, for example, in this haunted house is not normal. Okay, and if we look at the word haunted, it's an adjective. Haunt to basically a ghost or some type of entity that is not normal, that basically torments a person or a victim, right? So keep this all in mind as I tell this story and I talk about the science of the dark demonic spirits of the air. Okay, so here we have this phenomenon known as airy spirits. Also in the article I talk about ariel spirits, different kinds of elementals. Paracelsus had called them sylphs, or sylphs. Okay. And these elementals, right, that Paracelsus had dubbed, these dark mischievous spirits that the Gnostics had talked about in the air, right? St. Paul had talked about these wicked spirits in the air, and they talk about the church fathers about their habitation being basically between here and the moon is where they reside, these dark spirits, these spiritists. And what I'm finding out, guys, is that what they're talking about as far as these spirits go and so forth are the parasitic fungi, the molds that I've been talking about. And this is going to become more evident as time goes along and as my research gets out there, okay? Keep in mind that Paracelsus and then other authors out there had different categories or different names for different elementals, etc. And in science today, of course, we have different names for the genuses of the different parasitic fungi, molds in English, right, that are inhabiting the air that we breathe on any given day. You could Google probably your city if you're here in the Masonic States of America. For example, I believe Houston, Cleveland, most of the major metropolitan areas, they actually measure these spiritus, what we breathe in the air on any given day. Okay, so you won't find in modern science or the world today any elementals, any sylphs, any spirits, any disembodied things being measured by science. But what you will find is you'll find what could be called an evil organism, right? Or an evil entity that is floating in the air, that is adversarial to us humans. Not only are these organisms floating in the air that science is measuring every day, not only are they adversarial, but they actually seek to take us over. They seek to enter our bodies through our breath. We breathe into our lungs, through our ears, through our orifices, through our skin, dermal contact. These unseen entities in the air that are all around me right now, right? Can't see them with my eyes, right? They're microscopic. They're tiny. On the point of a pin, a little pin, not a pen, a pin, you could fit about 1 billion spores of these evil little entities, okay? So a little pinpoint has 1 billion of them. Imagine, just in the frame of this video right now, how many of these evil spirits that they used to call these airy spirits are around me right now. Every breath I take, right? So, if you start studying science and you're following Mo and his walk and his talks, I talk about this parasitic demonic fungi and how it's intelligent. How, just like the bees have their queen, these parasites have their king and their queen. I don't know which one it is yet, but I believe it's a king. And they have a hive mind mentality. Okay? Remember this. Just like the bees, just like the ants, these little entities that are in the air all around me that they call airy spirits, they have intelligence. So much so that they have the ability to commandeer us humans. Okay? No elemental, no sylph, no wicked spirit, no airy ariel spirit has ever been measured by science or seen under a microscope by the secular men of science, right? But they see something now. They're measuring something that is everywhere. They're measuring this parasitic organism that happens to be killing all of our forests all around the world, destroying ecosystems, destroying the bee colonies, as I had said in this video. They have a hive mind mentality to seek, kill, eat, and destroy. That's it. That's their job. They're the big putrefiers of this world, right? They break down anything that is weak, they capture onto it, and then they break it down, the organic matter, and putrefy it, so it basically goes into the soil and the Ouroboros returns, right? The Ouroboros. So, here today we have a science that relates to haunted houses, right? This belief, this ancient belief in haunted houses, many cultures all around the world for thousands of years. They believe that these spirits, they weren't talking about the fungi, or they couldn't understand or have the science to measure it. These spirits dwelled within these houses. And these spirits could possess the residents of that home. These spirits, these disembodied spirits that they sometimes called human spirits, which I believe is a misbelief, a misbelief, that these fungi actually can impersonate humans. These fungi, these molds, these intelligent spiritists flying through the air could actually commandeer our bodies. They could actually fly in our mouth, go into our lungs, and actually start taking over our minds and our bodies. A lot of you would go, hey, Mo, you're crazy, but if you've been watching my videos, you'll know that I talk about how these fungi, these molds, could basically commandeer our bodies and our central nervous systems. They could horizontally gene transfer into our bodies. The dogs barking all the time, right? They'll bark at anybody that goes by. They're just doing their job, I guess. They got to defend their parasitic owners against the other parasites, right? That seek to steal their shit, right? That's what we have a world right now. It's basically designed to manage the parasites, the spiritists, because it's gone mad. this creation, the devil has ran loose, right, in this world. So this is the world that we live in today. What's interesting is that these spirits, they're also known by a name named Ariel. And I explained that in my video, that Ariel means Lion of God. Okay? And Ariel is the name of a character in Shakespeare's The Tempest that happens to be a spirit, an elemental. Right? And what's interesting is this Ariel, this lion, this symbol of the lion, we can connect to the tribe of Judah. Right? So the tribe of Judah would be where the tribe where King David and King Solomon had come from, right? So if you guys are following occult, Masonic history, Judaism, etc., you'll understand that King David and King Solomon are very important people within the Masonic mysteries and stories, and then also the Abrahamic religions. What people don't understand is that there's a story of actually King David copulating, meaning he actually had sex with one of these spiritists, one of these demons. I can't think of the name exactly off the top of my head, but I believe it's Agrot. Agrot something is the name of this succubi, or is it an incubi? I'm not sure. It's the female version. And through this union between King David, the tribe of Judah, right, the lion, their symbol, they have a son who is now known, as far as in this world that we know of, as the king of demons, Amadeus, right? And we all know King David to be the father of King Solomon. So interesting little stories and parallels that you'll find through occult history, Masonic history and myths, and then also Judaism and Abrahamic religions and so forth. So it's interesting, you see these elementals, these succubi, these incubi, these demons actually in the religious teachings, right? I want you guys to keep in mind that King Solomon was also a master magician. He was said to rule over these elements, these elementals that resided in the four elements within our alchemical bodies, right? He was a master magician of these elementals. They didn't rule him, he ruled them, right? Back to these damn dogs again. Taken over by the parasite. Yeah, a lot of them are, guys, the elementals. They're getting into the dog food, they're getting into our houses, and the dogs are some of the first ones to go. People don't realize they can go mad, and these spiritists, they could breathe in as well. And because they have such a low body mass, these spiritists multiply, these elementals, these demonic fungi, they multiply in their bodies very quick, and that's what happens to little children as well. It's all about body mass index. And then also the strength of the body of the person who is going into these environments, these haunted houses, right, that I go into every week. I told many of you out there that I'm actually a mold inspector, and I work for a water damage company here in San Diego, California. So I'm not some guy that's just talking out the side of my neck about things I don't understand. I'm not just talking the talk, I'm walking the walk. I'm seeing what's going out there with my life. I'm living this reality right now, and I'm going into these haunted houses, guys. And they are haunted. But the haunted houses that I know and that most people talk about in mythology are two different things, right? The haunted houses that I know are actually can be quantified. The science of the haunt, the science of what is tormenting the people in these homes. When I open the door and I see their children sick, I see a blank stare looking at me through the door of someone who doesn't seem there. I look into their eyes, I don't see a light, I don't see a soul, I see darkness. I see ignorance. I see someone who has been taken over by the spiritists, by the haunted house, by the mold in their home, guys. All right, I told a story in one of my videos not too long ago about a haunted house that I went into, guys. And this haunted house was nothing like I've ever seen before. And remember, the evil dark spirits, they believed, all of the philosophers, all the church fathers and the doctors, that they could cause disease and death and sin. That was the common theme through all of them. Okay, so that's what I'm finding now when I'm walking around in my job and I'm going to these haunted houses and I'm seeing the occupants of these haunted houses and I'm seeing what they're doing, how they're acting, what they're not doing. And I'm seeing people that aren't really people. I'm seeing walking parasites, right? And the story I wanted to get to is a story of a house I went to 2 weeks ago. And before I go into the house, a friend of mine, he happens to be named Moses, right? So I have a friend named Moses in the industry and then a guy named Noah. We're at this job, right? And he goes, dude, he goes, bro, he goes, man, this is the worst house I've ever seen. He goes, put this mask on. He goes, bro, you got to get out of there quick. This place is freaking scary. And I was like, I've been to a lot of houses and no one's really ever told me that. I was just like, what? This shit must be bad. So I walk in the house and the first thing I see is a ceiling just covered in spores and mold, right? Covered. Like it was a Hurricane Irma had hit the house and the house was sitting there for a week, right? And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? They had a huge leak. And then I go upstairs and I see a lady sitting in a corner. She didn't even acknowledge me or get up. In a little dark corner of the house. It was weird. I go upstairs in the dark corner of a hallway. In this corner, like a corner like this, is a little like desk and a lady sitting on a computer, and she like looked at me and like didn't acknowledge me. I was in her home. And then I go to Noah. I go, Noah, what the fuck's going on here, dude? He goes, bro. He goes, you haven't even seen the worst of it. He goes, here's where it started. And I'm in the bathroom upstairs, right? And there's a little drip, 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 drip. Just a constant drip. He goes, this is what caused the flood in the home. I go, what? This thing flooded the home? I mean, it would take an hour to fill a bucket, right? The whole home was flooded. This lady let this little drip, this leak go on for like a year or 2 years, guys. It flooded the whole freaking home. And he goes, Mo, check this out. And he takes me to this corner of the house, right? And there's mushrooms growing out of the walls. I showed pictures of this on my website, guys. Mushrooms were growing out of the walls. And I talked to the owner. Eventually, I finally get to her and I talk to her, and there's no light, guys. There's nothing going on there. It doesn't seem like there's anything human left in her. And I'm talking to her and she's talking. Most people would think she's human, right? And she's telling me what's going on. I go, how long did this leak happen? She goes, I don't know. It just kept leaking. And then I go, who else do you live here with? I go, is anybody sick? And she goes, oh no. Oh, well, my husband's sick, but it's not from this. He has Parkinson's disease. And he's just gotten worse and worse over the last couple years. And he's in a home now because he's rapidly deteriorating. They think he's going to die very soon. And I'm just scratching my head going, geez. I've already known because I've done the research and I have the gnosis and I have the knowledge that Parkinson's disease has already been related to fungi, to mold, right? Of course, they don't know the exact cause, but there's lots of research and studies tying parasitic fungi to Parkinson's disease, right? The people get like, you know what I mean? And they lose their movements, right? They're being fucking taken over by the parasitic fungi, their central nervous system. They're being possessed by what these church fathers and these philosophers like Paracelsus had called elementals and wicked spirits of the air, the sylphs, right? And now we have science. We have people that are possessed. That in the old days, right, they wouldn't even know the science or to understand it. They would just go, this guy's possessed. What happened to Mo? You know, before he was fine, and now he's just like, he's, you know what I mean? And then this lady, she was normal, and then she's just gone. They would have been possessed by demons in the old past. They would have had a stake driven through their hearts. They would have been burned, right? A lot of you guys don't understand all the plagues of the past were due to fungi and mold. They weren't due to bacteria. Bacteria is our friend, guys. We live in a topsy-turvy world where the black magicians have taken over everything. Up is down, down is good. Bacteria is fungi, fungi is bacteria. Bacteria is bad, fungi is good, right? Kombucha, drink all that, drink our spirits, right? They tell us. We drink our alcohol, our beer. What are we drinking? We're drinking dead carcasses and spirits and live fungi in our bodies. We're literally pouring them in, right? And what happens to you after you drink too much of these spiritus? What happens to your consciousness, guys? Yeah, facts. These are facts, guys. This is reality of the world that we live in that has been commandeered by the parasitic fungi. As within, so without. So that's why alcoholics, they can't stop drinking. They've been taken over by the spiritus, by the elemental, right? They've been commandeered, right? Because you drink so much, before you know it, you're now that person you were drinking in. That organism, right? What happens to your light, to your consciousness after you have 3, 4, 5, 6 drinks? Huh? Are you still awake? Are you still aware of what's going on? Or does the light go out? This is what's happening, guys, to people who live in these haunted houses, who are breathing in this parasitic fungi. They're no longer the same person they used to be because they're breathing in these spiritus, these elemental fungi into their bodies, and they're commandeering their blood, their organs, their chemical processes. I tell you about in my videos how they're able to commandeer our glands, right? Our chakras. They commandeer our guts. That's one of the first places they go, is our stomach and our guts, because that's where they get fed and that's where they can grow, right? So you guys got to keep in mind, when Mo's talking, I'm trying to bridge the gap of the ancient teachings, right? The ancient teachings for the modern Gnostic, right? So if you want to understand the world that we live in and understand these ancient teachings, you got to try to bridge the gap to modern science, and you got to experience it, right? I've experienced this world of these elementals. My son, I've lived in a haunted house for 5 years where my home was invaded by these spirits. They invaded me. They caused me to be depressed, to be sick. They caused my son to get sick. They went into his bones, into his central nervous system where he couldn't walk. He was having terrible nightmares and dreams all the time because these spirits were grafting into his body and into his DNA. He was becoming possessed by these spirits because we were living in a haunted house where these spirits were tormenting us because they were growing in the walls, right? A fact. I actually got a scientific report telling me that billions of these things were floating in the air, right? So the demon checker, the mold inspector, comes over, right? I tell you the story of Moses and Aaron. They were both mold inspectors, right? They were both magicians. Why the hell were they mold inspectors if it's not so important? Think about this, guys. There's nothing new under the sun. We've just been in the land of Nod, purposely forgetting these stories, these teachings. Anyways, this is my walk and my talk. Yeah, break the mold. Kevin, brother. Hey, I want to tell you guys something. Do you guys want to know some cool little news? Guess what happened in July, what the Pope had did. Some news here for you. He added another fourth reason people could be sanctified, to become a saint. Guess what the reason was? In the year 2017, he adopted a new reason why people could become a saint in the Catholic Church. And you don't even have to be a priest. I think, wait, maybe you do, sorry. But it's basically those people who serve people and help people in the plague, and then they die from the plague. Did you guys hear what I just said? So in July of this year, 2017, just about a couple months ago, the Pope Francis, the Vicar of Christ, the father to billions of Roman Catholics, had issued one more way for people to become a saint. And that was for people who serve people in the plague, and then they in turn die from the plague. Think about this, guys. I'm telling you, and I've been telling you, we're in a plague right now. It's just being covered up. This gym I'm at right now, they got frickin' mold all in it, in the walls, in the ceiling. I've seen it, and they're remediating it right now. Right? I go to apartments, guys, apartment units, thousands of units, and they're all frickin' filled with mold and spirits because the property managers put money over people. They never fix it right, so they leave these apartment buildings haunted. These commercial building capitalists, right? They got to make money, so they can't take care of the spirits and so forth that are in the buildings, so they leave them and we all breathe them in, and people are getting sick and getting possessed. Man, it's an ugly world out there, guys. Every day I see this. I go to apartment buildings and literally they're covered in mold and people are living in them and they're freaking going mad. Yeah. So anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Sorry I can't check all these messages like I could. Yeah, Omar, these spirits possess animals, dogs. They could possess anything. They read on I talk about parasitic mind control. So remember, when I talk about this, they're doing this already and they're finding it in science. What about the ants, the cordyceps, right? Those ants, there's beetles. They're doing it to everything, right? This is backed by science, guys. So remember, watch out for the dark lords and the spirits of the air, right? Especially in your homes and in these buildings. If you're sick, if you're going mad, or someone you know, start looking around what they're breathing in, guys. Start getting a clue of what's going on, why everybody's going mad and turning into parasites attacking one another. Rise above the flesh, above the parasites, guys. That's the whole idea of the stories of Christ. He's rising above the fray, right? He's putting his foot on the great Satan, right? He's controlling them. Satan's not dead. The fungi is not dead, but he's in control of the elements. That's the story of King Solomon. He's in control of this body. He's risen to the light, to the gnosis, to the knowledge, to understand this world, right? So when you understand it and you're confident and you don't have fear, these frickin' fungi, these spiritists fear you, right? Because they're intelligent. They get it. When someone's weak, when someone's sick, they seize upon that person like a magnet. Their light is weak. So remember, everything is energy, guys, okay? When it comes to battling these fungi, these parasites, whatever you want to call them, elementals, demonic beings or whatever, or that are in your home or whatever, they fear the light. They fear competence. They fear knowledge. They fear gnosis. So when you know what's going on, when you know their game, when you know how they could do what they do, and you know where to find them, you're winning, bro. You're winning, guys and gals, right? That's the key. Let your light shine bright. The only way is to go to Golgotha like Christ, right? And to use reason and intellect, to be strong, to be healthy. Okay, those are how you fight these demon elementals. Of course, there's other ways that you could make your body and yourself healthy. You could detox. You can go like Jesus into the desert for 40 days and kill all the fungi in your gut. You could take activated charcoal. You could do fumigations like they used to do in the houses, burning sulfur and charcoal and incense, right? Okay, there's all kinds of things that you could do to protect yourself, your family, and to cure your haunted house, your moldy house that's filled with elementals and spirits that are terrorizing you and your children. those are another video and another time, but I hope you guys have seen the light and you guys could start understanding what's going on around and these elementals, these dark spirits. Know that Mo may seem a little bit crazy, but I'm just trying to bridge the gap between the craziness, the mythologies with real science, connect the two so we all get it. All learning is remembering, guys. So you guys that get this, you're just remembering what you have known before. We're all priests just remembering these ancient teachings. Some of you, you're not grasping it, but it's starting to make some sense to you. You're just a little further back on the path and you need to catch up. But you will still listen to my teachings. Go to gnosticwarrior.com if you want to learn more about what I talk about in these spirits. Hundreds of podcasts. You want to become a member of the Order of the Gnostics, the true knowledge seekers? Go to gnosticwarrior.com/member. If you want to donate, gnosticwarrior.com/donate. And then, if you need anything mold related, I'm actually a mold inspector. I own a mold company in Southern California. Go to moldsafesolutions.com. I walk the talk. I just don't talk out my neck like most Gnostics, all right? And that's what I want to encourage and inspire you guys to do, is do something, create something good, all right? Don't just share memes on Facebook and YouTube and talk in the comment section. Let's go do something. Let's make some things happen. Let's change this world from the parasites to the light, right? Let's create that world we want to create. And we got to shine a light on these dark parasites all around us in our homes and in Washington, everywhere, guys. All right, peace be with you. Have a good one.